Ocean, for our viewers who don't know you, tell us what gives you a sense of purpose? What inspires you to get out of bed every morning?
Oh my God, I wake up so lit up because I get to help people be well and thrive and give the gifts they were born to give. I think we all have a sense of purpose. There's a saying, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you discover why you were born. Many of us are still trying to find that. It's really hard to find out why you were born or to fulfill your purpose in this life when you're chronically sick, when you're in pain, when you're overwhelmed by out of control medical bills. Or when someone you love is suffering with illness. They say that a person with their health has 1,000 dreams and a person without it has one dream, and that's to get it back. So what I get to do every day is to help people get back their health so they can fulfill their dreams and give their gifts and be a part of the solution on planet Earth. And so I founded Food Revolution Network with that goal. Our mission is healthy, ethical, and sustainable food for all. And, food really is the foundation of health or the foundation of disease, depending on the choices that you make. So we really want to help people reclaim their power and their vitality and their joy and just find out how much fun life can be when you give your body the right fuel that it needs to thrive. So many problems disappear, aches and pains and suffering and brain fog. And life, you get more bounce in your step, you lose excess pounds, and you feel better about your life. And that's what I get to do every day.
Amazing, amazing. Now, you come from a family that consciously chose not to participate in a business and in an industry that are really beloved to Americans, but complicit in promoting disease and suffering and environmental damage. Now, you told us last year that this grounding gave you a strong and sometimes, let's say, a militant voice as a young person, and yet your language today is so warm and hopeful. So can you tell us about your personal shift from a space of anger to one of positive action?
Well, I grew up in a family where we ate really healthy food. My grandpa founded Baskin Robbins, and my dad, John, walked away from the family company to follow his own rocky road and become a best-selling author writing about food and health. I grew up in a one-room log cabin in the middle of the woods with a family that almost named me Kale. But fortunately, they took the more conservative route and chose ocean instead. But I grew up eating lots and lots of vegetables. And then when I was 5, we moved into the suburbs so I could go to school. And that's when I first started being around other kids and realizing that other kids ate meat and thought that was normal. And in my mind, animals were every bit as important as humans. And so if you're going to kill an animal, that's murder. And so, I tried to just turn the other way. And then one day when I was about 7, I was like, I've had enough of stifling my voice. It's time to speak the truth. And so one day in the schoolyard, I literally I went after every kid and was asking them, what's in your lunchbox? And all these kids with their Star Wars and Cabbage Patch Kids lunch boxes are getting interrogated by another kid. And, my best friend Damien at the time, I asked him, if he believed in the death penalty for murder. And I accused him of being a murderer for his roast beef sandwich. And by the end of that altercation, Damien's sandwich was in the garbage and I was in the principal's office. We had a fist fight over his lunch. And here I was supposedly talking about peace and nonviolence and love towards all beings. And I was getting in a fist fight with my best friend over what he was eating. So, over time, I've mellowed out and softened and learned if you want to create change, the best way is to love people where they are and also share the truth about what's possible. So that's what I get to do every day.
Amazing. Now, we want to spend our time exploring the intersection between healthy people and healthy planet. In all the venues where you've spoken, is there anything about the state of our planet that you're surprised most people just don't know about?
Yeah, it's amazing how it's starting to get out that our food choices affect our environment, but it's amazing how many people really don't know about that, the extent of it. And here's the thing, when you cycle calories up the food chain, you lose efficiency. It's like it takes about, anywhere between, depending on who you ask, 6 to 12 pounds of grain or soy to produce 1 pound of feedlot beef. It takes a whole lot of cleared rainforest to create grazing land for cattle per the calories that you get out of it. So it's an incredibly inefficient system. Animal agriculture is basically a protein factory in reverse. And so, worldwide right now, according to a major study that was published a couple of years ago, we found that worldwide animal agriculture is responsible for 82% of the entire Earth's agricultural land, for 17% of the world's calories. So if just theoretically the whole world went vegan tomorrow, which of course is not going to happen, but just play with me here for a second. If we did, how much land would we free up? We would free up an area of land equivalent to all of the United States, China, the European Union, and Australia combined instantly. That would be freed up. And we could still feed the world generously and abundantly with the land that was left. So that's how much land we're essentially wasting with livestock production. And the cost is immense. That means we're cutting down forests. We are, using up massive amounts of water. The majority of our water use in the United States today is going to livestock production, not to golf courses, not to swimming pools, not to toilets, not to showers, livestock. And so, if we want to walk lighter on the earth, if we want to preserve forests for future generations, if we want to sequester carbon out of the atmosphere, if we want to use less water in a world that's increasingly beset by droughts, if we want to help stabilize the climate, then the number one thing we can do as individuals, as consumers, is to eat less meat. Now, absolutely driving electric cars and flying less and, turning the lights off when you don't need them, and all these things matter. But the number one thing you can do by far is to eat lower on the food chain. And that's incredibly empowering. And the awesome news is that it's also good for your health, which I would call a really big win-win.
Amazing. And, I think that there's two levels of, let's say, misunderstanding in society. One is people just don't know this information. It's not commonly shared. It's not part of the narrative that's out there. But then there's this other piece, which is folks who know or have heard about it, but don't do anything with it. And I'm sure you have seen Jonathan Safran Foer's book, We Are the Weather, where he says, until we truly believe something, the knowledge that climate change is happening is not really enough. So how do you think we can bridge the gap from this impersonal space of knowing to really internalizing the believing?
Well, I think that, practice makes perfect. And a lot of times the biggest resistance we have to knowing is we're attached to our habits, and a lot of folks don't really want to change what's familiar and what they're used to. And I understand that, but lovingly and gently, we've got to be willing to change our habits, because here's the thing: if we keep doing what we've always done, we're going to keep going in the course we're headed for. And quite frankly, when you look at us as a species, that course is towards more and more obesity, more and more Alzheimer's, more and more chronic illness, more and more out of control medical costs, and the desecration of life on Earth. We are running out of topsoil. We're running out of arable land. We're running out of water and water stability. And of course, we're destabilizing the climate, and we're running out of forests. Put all that together, we are on a collision course with systemic environmental collapse. So it is absolutely imperative that we do change our habits and we do change our course. And I think what's needed is, yes, education, but also practice. Once you know it's possible and that it can actually feel good to eat healthier food, and that you can actually feel better about yourself and also healthier and happier, then suddenly the wins keep stacking up. And that creates positive feedback loops and more momentum. And here's the thing: when you're in distress, you're less likely to think about the long term. You're more likely to think about immediate survival. That's why people who are stressed out tend to reach for so-called comfort foods. People don't have donut binges when they're feeling great. They tend to have donut binges when they're down in the dumps, right? It's why people end up on the wrong end of an empty bag of cookies or chips so often late at night when they're depressed. It's why people go out on drinking binges when they're down, right? So I'm saying, hey, when you're feeling positive is the best time to develop healthy habits and positive habits, so you can learn to love foods that love you back. But then when you get those feedback loops going, you have more energy, you have more mental clarity, you feel better, you know it's possible, and then you can keep going. The key thing is, don't make the perfect into the enemy of the good. Every step you take matters. Every vegetable you eat matters. Every time you choose plants, beans over beef, it matters. And you keep just moving in that positive direction, one step at a time, one bite at a time. And eventually you feel better, and you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, my life's different in the best possible way.
Yeah. Ocean, you have something new coming up, your coaching program. Can you tell us a little bit about it, and what's the unmet need that you're hoping to address through it?
So Food Revolution Network is just about to launch the plant-based coaching certification program. And this is a new venture for us, for everybody out there who wants to help be a part of the food revolution, inspire other people, spread the word, and become certified by us. That's what this program is for. So it's got 3 pillars. 1 is nutrition, deep dive on nutrition education. 2 is coaching, behavior change. How do you help people implement and sustain healthy changes in their lives? And 3 is marketing. How do you make a living making a difference? How do you get the word out? How do you get clients? So we're putting all this together and sharing it over a 6-month journey starting in January. So if you go to certification.foodrevolution.org, again, that's certification.foodrevolution.org, you can learn more about it. And we do still have some spaces open. So if you're interested, get your deposit in while you can.
Amazing. So we're asking all of our speakers who are joining us today the same question. What's one thing that you do to keep a sense of positivity and purpose in today's challenging world?
You know, I have a pretty deep sense of purpose. For me, it's not hard because I get to literally live making a difference every day. And my work is challenging, it's inspiring, it lights me up, and I get to spread the word and I get to see the lives we're impacting all the time. So honestly, for me, the challenge is making sure that I don't just get consumed by my work and I take time to replenish, because an overflowing cup gives most bountifully. And probably some of you can relate, where you're giving, you're serving, you're taking care of everybody else, and you always eat last and you take care of yourself last, and you just meditate when you have extra space, which somehow never happens. So what I'm learning about to sustain back to that positivity piece is anytime that I start to feel like stressed or burdened or strained by the work I'm doing, I have to remember what it's all about. And I also have to remember that caring for, nurturing me is critical to my ability to serve. So taking that time is really important. Meditation, valuing sleep, eating healthy, getting lots of exercise. These are all non-negotiables for me.
Amazing. I have one more question I actually want to ask you, which is, if you had $1 billion, and that's inflation, like when we were kids, it was like 1 million, right? If you had $1 billion, what would you do in service to healthy people and healthy planet?
Well, I would probably keep doing something very similar to what I'm doing now with my life, but we would definitely hire some new people at Food Revolution Network. And, I would want to focus more on campaigning rather than, I'd want to focus on policy change if we could, and get people engaged, because I would like to see produce prescriptions where doctors can prescribe fruits and vegetables, and Medicare and the big insurance companies will reimburse for that as a prescription rather than just reimbursing for drugs and surgery. I think that could make a world of difference. I want to see SNAP dollars doubled for fruits and vegetables so that the poorest segments of our population can be encouraged economically to buy healthier options and healthier foods. There are studies showing that both of these are incredibly cost-effective approaches. We also have studies showing that for every $1 invested in lifestyle medicine and preventive care, we can save $7 in long-term health expenses down the road. So I'd love to leverage that to help create policy change so that all of us who are individuals trying to create change can also have some wind at our backs for the larger societal movements we're trying to shift.
Absolutely. Hear, hear. Thank you so much, Ocean, for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. And anyone who wants to go to foodrevolution.org to check out our website and our blog and all the articles and resources we have on there, or again, certification.foodrevolution.org to find out about the plant-based coaching certification. Thank you so much for being here.